And we'll start with a short introduction, how it impacts from the macro level, also how the consumers have this effect on the challenges. And then we'll wrap it up with a conclusion. And don't go away, because we will have a Q&A session after that during the webinar. So please leave your questions in the Q&A inbox, and Stefano will have a pleasure to answer them.
Absolutely.
So let's start.
Problems? Oh, yes. There we go.
So most of you are already familiar with who we are, what is High Robotics. However, I'd like to emphasize that yes, we are leaders in automated storage and retrieval solutions, because we have already employed and signed 3,500, more than 3,500 robots around EMEA. We try to expand more and more, and you can see our projects around 18 different countries. Also, we, together with our partners, we are trying to expand also our team to help best to our customers. Our offices are located in 3 different locations. However, the headquarters is established here in Hoofddorp, Netherlands, where actually we, right at the end of the webinar, we'll have a fire alarm drill. So please don't be scared. It's just a little noise that will be around it, because we're on fire. Yes. We're famous for our technologies, and I guess Stefano will have a pleasure to tell us a little bit what we have on the plate.
Absolutely. Well, High Robotics is famous for goods-to-person systems. So historically, we started our focus in small piece picking handling. So that's where we started with High Pick System 1. Then we expanded with High Pick System 2 that offered the possibility to handle as well pallets or oddly shaped goods in combination with piece picking. So the beauty of this system is that the operator at the same workstation can receive both type of goods, palletized goods and goods on cases at the same workstation. We expanded then our offering with High Pick System 3, only focused on piece picking. And then the latest addition to our portfolio has been released in February and was the High Pick Climb. So a new way that we propose to solve the challenges within warehouses. So a different option in our portfolio. These options complement each other. It would be very expensive to speak about it in detail, but let's say that the different systems complement each other.
Thank you very much. That's indeed our portfolio, and let's dig into how we can face the challenges and what 2025 brings to the market. So 2025 has already started, and the warehouse and fulfillment are facing already the challenges that the market brings. Also, these 5 years, we have faced so many different macro challenges that the financial market, together with the pandemics, with the wars, with the inflation rates, tariffs, brought to the table, and that not only businesses have faced it, but the end customers. And according to the statistics, it's almost 85% of the population of the supply chain leaders are now trying to or increase their budget in technology, or they have already planned it for this year. How this affects the warehouse automation and the industry in general?
Absolutely. So this has a very huge impact because warehouse, well, more in general, supply chain managers have the constraint of still providing service to their customers. So because customers will see that have shown a behavior which is highly influenced by the way in which the supply chain is able to serve them in terms of different aspects. So that's one thing, one pressure they have to face. But on the other hand, the disruptions you mentioned, Anna, are a problem that they have to face and react on a daily basis. And sometimes, depending on the operation, but an increasing amount of operations are finding in automation the answer to face these challenges. So they're moving towards a concept called adaptable fulfillment strategies, which means they, instead of reacting to challenges, they try to anticipate and predict the challenges and the switch and change of behaviors of their customers. So they are moving to these adaptive and predictive fulfillment solutions. This is enabled today more than it was before, because today data are collected to a level and to an extent that was not done historically in the past. So companies have knowledge about how their customers, or what is the behavior of their customers. And that knowledge is one of the two things that they need to be competitive on the market. But that knowledge is in the data domain, but they need action capability in the physical domain. So if they are able to predict that there is a shift in behavior of their consumers, let's say, for example, from B2B to B2C, if their operations are not able to adapt and they're not able to act on that knowledge, well, that knowledge is meaningless. So they rely on solutions that can also help them act on this knowledge. And therefore, High Robotics has kept this historically, this challenge and this way of thinking in their minds from the very beginning. And that's why our product offering is very flexible and allows to go together with this way of working of warehouses. So for example, just an example, we have one of the systems in the market which offers the highest product handling flexibility, which means that we can help with different projects, processes within our warehouse: picking, replenishment, returns, B2B picking, B2C picking, which means that companies are not slaves of technology, but technology is an enabler for them.
This is beautiful that we are already within High Robotics are concerned about the fact that we can face the challenges by having the data from the end customers and act on it accordingly.
Absolutely.
That's a beautiful adjustment. And so we need to act. What are the challenges and what we actually need to fight with?
Absolutely.
The first challenge is managing market volatility and supply chain disruptions. This is one of the challenges that we have already touched upon, that due to all the political situations, sometimes the tariff change, or even things like pandemics, they bring unpredictable, ever-changing environments to the market. And even 3 out of 4 European shippers, so the big players in the supply chain, have faced in last year the disruptions that, even though they are big companies that do have financial maneuver around, but they still faced it in such manner that they had a cost impact. This brings us to the discussion that how the other players need to react, how the warehouse automation industry needs to adapt to these challenges.
Absolutely. So we see that companies are already taking actions against this disruption. So it's not only macro at a macro level that we speak about it, but every single operation at least is thinking or has already acted on these disruptions to prevent lowering their service level to their customers. For example, we can see that this is already happening by looking at the picture that, for example, let's look at the United States imports from countries such as China, Mexico, Vietnam, and India. We see shifts in trends and shift in the percentages of imports. So we see that, for example, here, that there was a huge decrease of imports from China, but followed by a huge increases from other countries. So it means that there is action taken by warehouses to make their supply chain more resilient and more independent from a specific source, and rather diversifying the sources, so to prevent relying too much on one single source. We see this is happening, and we see that this has an impact on what the reality could be for our house. I'll explain that better. If I change my supplier today and the new supplier is giving me a little bit of a longer lead time, well, this means that I will need probably to stock more in my warehouse to avoid stock out, because so this supply chain strategy change in supplier as means a direct implication in the warehouse capabilities. Or let's say that the new supplier has different shipping policies, for example, different shipping formats in a different cartons or whatever. So it has a direct impact with the real physics of how operations are conducted in warehouses. So companies need to take that into account. We see that this is contributing to the building of resiliency. And we in High, we provide systems that take this into account. We know these things are happening every day, and we see this from the statistics and the numbers. So our solutions are able to allow scalability, so a company can invest what they need for today or the immediate future and scale as they grow, keeping in mind that they will grow, but they don't know exactly how they will grow. So they want to invest in a solution that allows them to grow in different directions. Also, since our systems keep flexibility in mind, we can store small pieces, palletize goods, and able to handle different flows. We want to provide one system fits all, so that we provide that resiliency in the technology towards possible changes. And also we see that changes are not only externally happening for warehouses, but also internally, because they have seasonal sales, flash promotions, sometimes economic upturns. They can trigger an adjustment in the way they conduct operations, and therefore they need to be able to have a solution which adapts to all of this.
Great that within High we already can try to fit into the potential pitfalls, so that we were prepared for them.
Absolutely.
If we move forward, there is the next challenge that appears on the horizon in 2025, and it's keeping up with the technology without overcommitting. This is a beautiful, not so beautiful challenge that actually brings to the point that where a lot of supply chain leaders, while had their investments in the very rigid systems, it's almost 69% of them that felt that it actually did not really pay off. This is not the best news that you can hear after having big financial commitments. How does the industry faces these challenges if it comes on the horizon on their path?
Yeah, so you express it very well. Companies are afraid that, okay, I have some challenges today, I will invest in automation, but I know by experiences, but that my future will look different from today. In which direction? I don't know. That's the challenge. That's exactly a challenge. And the fear, therefore, is to invest in systems which are rigid and will become a cost rather than an added value. So, the driver for these companies to feel safe in terms of automating their operations is to invest in scalable and flexible solutions. Again, it's kind of a buzzword, but that can adapt along the changes in their business scenarios, and that in the moment that it will be added and expanded as needed, this can be done without disrupting the existing operation, so that you don't need to switch off your whole automation because you're expanding. If you can plan it in advance, you can expand without disrupting the existing operation, and therefore they can afford to have a phased deployment that allows them to phase the investment, and therefore, as the automation provides savings, those savings can be reinvested in expanding even further. This was the case, for example, of one of our customers called TME, or Transfer Multisort Electronic, an electronic distributor that they knew that they were going to grow. They knew that they were going to require additional space. So, but they didn't need it from the very first moment. So what they did is actually something that reflects the very high degree of flexibility and the different possibilities that we have to provide scalability. So They started with the high storage area that you see here in the picture, and they already knew that they would need additional throughput, so their capacity of storage, sorry. And then what they did is they purchased a racking up to 12 meters, but they only purchased robots which allowed them to stock and pick at 10 meters of height, because they didn't need the full storage capacity. So they reduced the investment with in these terms. Then when they needed extra capacity, instead of increasing the rack locations, they purchased robots able to pick at 12 meters. So suddenly they unlocked 2 extra meters of storage, so 20% extra storage capacity, by adding more robots rather than more rack, which could seem counterintuitive, but there's an explanation which I just gave you. And also, they planned also 2 other additional extensions, extension A and B, as you can see here. And extension A is attached to the existing system, but can be deployed almost independently from the existing system, and then in non-active moments, they can be connected. So that is also the case of another of our customers, Ochama. They started with a system that needed to be expanded later on, and that expansion is already implemented and already live, and was performed as the existing operation was still going on. So it is definitely something that we see. It's not a nice to have anymore. It's a must to provide as a system supplier, and we at High Robotics keep that into account.
Great that there is a definitely future outlook for the investments like this, and that they can also impact on the better ROI calculation afterwards. That you don't need the entire sums of money, and we have already covered it once in one of the webinars, how we perspect that the ROI calculation and how the investments can be gradually increasing, also with examples of TME and Ochama.
Yep,
Thank you.
absolutely.
And we will follow with the next challenge, and it's meeting the evolving customer fulfillment expectations. This is one of my favorite one, I need to admit, as the entire industry growing, as the supply chain is evolving. Together with that, the customer and consumer needs are and demands are growing. And according to the statistics, nowadays a regular person doesn't want only to have the exact type of the goods that they have ordered, so they want to have accuracy of their orders. They also are willing to pay a premium in order to get the same day or next day delivery. And in addition to that, a marketplace is more preferred if they have the entire variety of goods, where you don't need to go to other places to purchase stuff. This brings us to a challenge that fulfillment and warehouses face. How do they deal with it?
Yeah, so we said before that warehouses have to face, and supply chain managers have to face disruptions in their supply chain. But on the other side of the chain, the customers are more and more demanding, because they are kind of spoiled, but companies that have been pioneers in spoiling them, so to say, and in having very good levels of service, very broad variety of products that they can access in an online store, and they can receive most of the times next day or same day delivery. So companies need to stay on top of the game to be able to keep that same level of fulfillment, or they will not be competitive in terms of what the end customers get, and that the end customer will get the product somewhere else. I'm sure that most of the listeners have experienced that. They were almost ready to buy something, but then they found out that the item was going to be shipped next week, and 65% of the customers abandon a cart when they think that delivery time is too long. And now 1 week is not possible for most of the customers. They are used to have next day delivery. So why is automation a good answer to this? Well, because automation allows to achieve higher accuracy. So in a goods to person scenario, when the person receives the goods, so there's less room for mistake for the operator. So the operator does not have to go to the right item. This is the right item coming to him. Also, another part of it's possible that additional checks are performed. So in an automated system, you can do weight check, scan checks, whatever type of checks to bring as close as possible the accuracy rate to 100% of correct orders. But accuracy is not all of it. There's speed also to take into account. And it is an absolute truth that in the same space, in the same amount of square meters, you can fulfill more orders per day if the system is automated, because it's machines are faster than humans in this case, and it's more optimized and streamlined the way of working. So the last point is variety. Variety means having a lot of lots of SKUs in the same warehouse, meaning lots of storage additionally to what they may need with less SKUs in storage. So automation allows to tackle all those 3 points. So accuracy, as we said, speed, but also being able to fit more locations in the existing space without having to relocate. That was the example, again, of TME, our customer. We had to stock there 150,000 SKUs while maintaining a high throughput. That was vital for them. And I would say that the only way you can achieve this is through automation. So automation is the technological enabler to give the customers what they want: accuracy, variety, and speed. And so that's why it's such a big topic and such a hot topic today.
Well, I hope the stores that I order from do use our automation. And if we go to our next challenge, I would like to link it to the previous one, that the warehouses need to adapt not only to consumer needs, but also adapt to the urban logistics and the last mile distribution needs. So it's we just covered the fact that the consumers are willing to pay almost 10% premium for the solution that comes to them next day.
Yeah.
Or within an hour even. This brings us to the fact that the demanding consumer also lives around the urban areas.
Yes.
And as the statistics mentions, almost by 2050, 83.7% of population of the Europe will reside in the urban areas.
Yep.
This makes the capacity for the warehouse very small, because the urbanization does not really allow to build the big 12-meter warehouses anymore in the city center. How do they face it?
Yeah, that's one as well of the key and hot topics today's in intralogistics. That is supported by numbers, because we see that in the 5 years from 2024 to 2029, the aggregate growth rate of the micro fulfillment market is approximately 47%, which means that companies have realized that this is a huge market, underserved market, still immature, I dare to say, where I would say companies which are pioneers in this and find a good way to improve their logistics to serve all of these urban customers will find a way to serve 80% of the customers of European Union by 2050. So it's a very hot topic today. And in this case, urban warehouses have, as you said, the challenge that space is limited, space is expensive, extremely expensive. And on one hand, it's very suitable to serve customers in a very quick way, because the product is already close to them. But then you need to have, in a urban area, lots of different products, lots of different SKUs that you can pick rapidly to ship quickly and fulfill the speed commitment towards the end user. So these are all complexity. So we said that customers are more and more demanding every day, and they're living in the cities. So it's one more piece to the whole puzzle. How did we interpret this challenge in High Robotics? Well, we provide vertical high density warehouses, so we can maximize the space utilization, especially in urban environment where typically mostly they have already existing warehouses that are not of new construction. And as you said, typically sometimes they cannot be 12 meters. We have the experience of one of our customers, which is ProDrive, less than 4 meters clear height, only 3.4 meters. And automation was essential for them in order to be able to stay in the same building and not move or be forced to move because of additional storage space was needed.
I guess I need one of our solutions at my place to store all this stuff for me and get it faster. And so we go to our last but not least, and a quite crucial challenge that the businesses face is achieving sustainability without compromising on profitability. And this brings me to the discussion where the European Union imposes a lot of regulations to the businesses to become more sustainable. In general, carbon footprint is a crucial part, and even end users are willing to pay a premium for them to be sure that their goods are shipped and are using the sustainable supply chain. How does this change work within the industry? How do businesses, how warehouses need to adapt to it?
Yeah, absolutely. So here we see that almost 10% of customers can pay as they're willing to pay a premium for shipping quickly. They are willing to pay a premium to buy from companies that are responsible and ethical in the use of resources which are considered green for the environment. And I would say that, well, today the concept of being green is not just being environmentally friendly, but it means to do more with fewer resources. And it's almost a necessity today because one of the key problems worldwide, but especially in EMEA, but worldwide, is the difficulty to have resources to execute the labor in warehouses. Companies struggle to find people to do the job in the warehouses. And I would say that sometimes automation. So we saw that there are different pieces in the puzzle, and we have end users that are demanding. So that's a complexity. We see supply chain disruptions that adds complexity. I would say that being more efficient and therefore more sustainable, it's almost a side effect of automation, because here we see that. For example, automation can operate in a dark environment. We don't need lights to operate a warehouse where our robots are circulating. So it means that if you have a good supervision system, you can only light up the area where operators are working, but all the rest can be a dark room, a dark environment. So you're saving on the energy bill at the end of the month. Or you don't have to adjust the temperature in the whole warehouse, just where operators are working, especially in certain climates, this will be needed. Another point is that if you maximize the throughput and storage density in your warehouse, you don't have to change warehouse. And I don't know if any of the listeners would be happy to execute a warehouse shift, so moving from one warehouse to the other, but I guess it's not a happy moment for anybody. It's actually quite painful because it's a disruption in their operation. And lastly, automation potentially can provide a reduction of reverse logistics. If I present a perfect product to my end user, a non-perfect order will be likely to be returned to the warehouse. And the last mile delivery is actually performed twice, once to the customer's house and once back. So it's very not friendly. We have the alarm going off.
We're back.
And we're back. Yeah, so the problems of live recordings. We were just notified that there was going to be a
fire
fire
alarm.
alarm test.
I hope you didn't run away, and we'll continue with our.
Nothing's on fire around here. Yeah, the point I was mentioning is about reverse logistics. So if I ship a non-correct order and I have to return it back, the customer has every right to do that, and it's not very friendly. So, well, I think that automation has as a byproduct as a side effect, the positive green or sustainable impacts on the whole supply chain operation.
Indeed, indeed. And there's John Lewis is one of our case studies that you can also download on our website, and it represents how a business can have a brownfield and automated fully to have their operations streamlined. And I guess it's time to conclude. Thank you so much for staying with us the entire webinar.